I'm back, motherfuckers. Yeah, like I said, this YouTube channel's not going anywhere. I know I took a bit of a break. Real life caught up with me a little bit, but I am so excited to be back in front of this camera. And here we are talking about The Electric State, which premiered on Netflix not too long ago. It's directed by Anthony and Joe Russo, the directors of Avengers: Infinity War and Endgame. And, you know, Captain America: The Winter Soldier's in there too. But this is a post-dystopian society. It tells the story of a young woman named Michelle, played by Millie Bobby Brown of Stranger Things fame. And she's traveling with a sweet but mysterious robot named Cosmo. The pair reluctantly team up with an eccentric drifter named Keats, played by Chris Pratt. And they set out on a cross-country road trip to find Michelle's younger brother. Okay, so here's the deal, guys. This movie cost $320 million to make, which for a Netflix project is insane. And for a Russo brothers project that is not under the Marvel umbrella, that is insane. Because yeah, I know, I listed off 3 of the greatest Marvel Cinematic Universe movies ever. But outside of that, the Russo brothers really haven't done much of note. They did a movie with Tom Holland called Cherry, which I honestly went back and watched. I didn't review it when it initially came out, but it sucks. It's not a very good movie. And more recently, they did a movie, also Netflix exclusive, called The Gray Man, which honestly, I enjoyed it when it came out, but I forgot that it even existed. That's how much impact I guess it had on me. So I wasn't really all that enticed by The Electric State, and I'll give this movie credit where it's due. With the budget that it has, it definitely is using it to its fullest potential. Because the production design and the world and the spectacle that the Russo brothers are creating, that is their biggest strengths as filmmakers, is creating a massive scene and establishing a gargantuan atmosphere that is unlike any other. And the Russo brothers are phenomenal at creating that atmosphere. When it comes to captivating storytelling, you know, and actually creating some interesting original characters, I've come to notice that that's not really in the Russo brothers' wheelhouse. And I'm not going to sit here and say that The Electric State doesn't have interesting characters or interesting ideas. A lot of the voice casts that we meet along the way, there's a robot that's voiced by Anthony Mackie, who I couldn't even tell was Anthony Mackie. And you have some fun little Spielbergian-like ideas thrown into the mix, like with this virtual reality, where people who kind of act as the police officers of this world put on this gigantic headset and they go out and hunt these humans who are hiding the robots away. Like, there's some really nifty stuff in here. I just don't know if it was fully realized to the potential that it could have reached. This, to me, feels like a movie that Steven Spielberg would have put out maybe in the 90s or something like that. And if families would have gone to the movie theater and seen this thing, because believe it or not, I feel like The Electric State, despite its Netflix exclusive release, this would have made a killing at the movie theater. And it's honestly something I really wish I would have seen on the big screen. I feel like it would have enhanced my overall experience with this. Because I was definitely interested in learning more about a lot of these robots. I was interested in digging a little bit deeper into why Chris Pratt's character is the way he is. Chris Pratt is basically playing Chris Pratt. He's basically his own archetype here. Or for most of this movie, does he look like Hangman Adam Page from AEW? Like, if he changed up his voice a little bit, it probably would have been a spitting image. Chris Pratt definitely has some fun dialogue written for him. The heart and soul of this movie really is Millie Bobby Brown, who, again, her American accent is perfect. I was watching this with my girlfriend, who constantly forgets that this woman is British. I mean, I think that just tells you how talented she is. And I think she has surface-level good emotional story beats here. I was kind of hoping that they would dig a little bit deeper into her relationship with her brother, because that's what's at the emotional crux of this story and the whole reason why we're here. But it honestly just feels to me like it's a meandering adventure for a good chunk of the story with Millie Bobby Brown and Chris Pratt. Which, don't get me wrong, that's a fun little idea, and they do share some pretty decent chemistry. But I was constantly left wanting more out of this relationship with the little brother. Especially as he's being held captive by a Steve Jobs-looking Stanley Tucci. Anytime you have Stanley Tucci in the movie, he's playing the villain in The Electric State. I mean, you're going to get a great performance out of him. This guy has been an Academy favorite for a good chunk of his career. So I feel like it's kind of impossible for this man to turn in a bad performance. And a bad performance this ain't. I thought he was really good. One of the stronger performances of the bunch, actually. And honestly, I feel like as I was sitting through this movie with Lindsay, we were really enjoying ourselves. And in the back of my mind, I was like, okay, there's some derivative story elements in here, sure. But it's some solid enough entertainment. and it kept us engaged for however long it ran, 2 hours and 8 minutes. Now, once the next time a Russo brothers movie comes out, i.e. Avengers Doomsday next year, are we going to remember the Electric State? Probably not. But let me address this much. Do I think this movie deserved to have a 10% on Rotten Tomatoes or whatever it was when it initially came out? Hell no. This movie is way better than that. At least I think so. I know some of my peers are not really hot on this movie, and I know some of them are a little bit more concerned about Doomsday now that they've seen Electric State. I still have every faith that the Russo brothers in their return to the Marvel Cinematic Universe for Doomsday and Secret Wars for that matter. I think the spectacle is still going to be there. But again, let me reiterate, the Russo brothers I feel like are the strongest when they're dealing with characters that they themselves did not come up with. And I'm going to counteract anybody who's kind of sour on Doomsday right now with this. There is no way in hell that Kevin Feige or Robert Downey Jr. would want the Russo brothers back if they didn't think that they could pull Doomsday and Secret Wars off. Besides, it's like comparing apples and oranges here. This is a science fiction dystopian movie that they're putting out. Completely original. Well, not completely original. It's based off a book. But you know what I mean? Like, this is not like completely recognizable corporate IP that the Russo brothers are dealing with. And I feel like this movie gives you enough spectacle, enough gigantic action sequences. Although I will admit, I kind of found it weird that the movie glossed over the whole war aspect of the film. Because you get action sequences, sure, but the human and robot war that is talked about in this movie, completely glossed over and forgotten about by the end of the first act. It's an exposition montage. And I was like, do more of that. Where's that? Because if any directors can pull off a spectacle war movie like that, the Russo brothers definitely could. But alas, we got what we got, and for a $320 million budget, this movie certainly is not horrible. But I definitely also feel like that despite this movie's gargantuan budget, the character development was still sorely lacking in certain departments. I'm going to give the Electric State a C+. I know, I'm disappointing a good chunk of you who are expecting a rant on this. But I'm sorry, gang, I had a really good time with this. Lindsay had a good time with it, and I think you guys would too if you gave this one a shot. Let me know what you think of the Electric State down in the comments section below if you guys have seen it already. Did this lessen your expectations for Avengers Doomsday, or did it heighten them? I mean, I'm pretty sure I know the answer to the latter question, but regardless, thank you so much again for tuning in and for your continued support as I navigate through my real life. Hit that subscribe button and that thumbs up as well. We are starting the march to 3,000 subscribers over here, and there is no shortage of topics for us to discuss over here and no sign of us stopping anytime soon. The second channel that I mentioned with me and my lovely girlfriend Lindsay is also going to be launched sometime in the very near future, so please keep your eyes peeled for a link to that as well. Thank you so much again for your continued support. And yes, last question, for those of you wondering, no, we have not seen Snow White yet. We're planning on watching it tomorrow night, and I'm not excited for it. I'm really not. But heck, maybe that'll bring some catharsis over here. Y'all are the best, guys. Thank you so much again for tuning in. With all that being said, Back Talk, commence.